This video was brought to you by Master Your Mind, Whitney's new mindset course. She knows that the worst part about getting started in real estate is convincing yourself to take action, and that everything you want is on the other side of that conversation with yourself. You'll learn Whitney's personal strategies for digging deep into your story, discovering your biggest motivators, and stopping the negative self-doubt once and for all. It's all about mindset. And if you're ready to transform your limiting mindset into a money-making mindset, head over to whitneynicely.com/mindset today.
Good morning. Hey y'all, this is my friend Delora, and she is actually more than a friend. She's been my coach for over 2.5 years.
Yes, I think so. Coming up on that anyway.
And Delora is a mindset coach, and she really digs into the difference of how your sexual energy impacts your sales energy and impacts your confidence. And when you're suffering from shame and guilt, what's that actually turning into? So we are going to be chatting this morning, or it's morning for us right now. It may not be morning when you're watching this, but we're going to be talking about some mindset exercises that she's taught me over the years and some things that we've learned from each other over the years, and see if we can get some mindset practices out that you can use today and every day. And one of the first things, we were just chatting about our nails, because Delora has a very solid rule that I love. No matter what's going on, and if you're down to your absolute penny, you got to keep your nails done. You got to keep yourself feeling the best that you can. And Delora, you have a story about that. I think, tell them you were going through some hard stuff, and tell them about it. You know the story I'm talking about.
Yes, I think so. So things were really like the bottom for what I knew at the time. I've since hit more bottoms since then, but that's normal. And I don't even know why I was feeling bad. Like I didn't really have a reason. This was like 10, 12 years ago. I just felt blue, and wasn't depressed. I'd never been depressed before, but something just wasn't right. So I went and got my first set of nails done and bought my first pair of high heel shoes. And I'll tell you what, it changed everything. Even when I got blisters shopping in those damn shoes later on, I was like, this is amazing. Anyways, it became an obsession. I probably have 200 pairs of shoes now, but whatever. But even just saying that, like a mindset switch for me, if things are just, I need to be feeling my power. Even if I'm at home in pajamas, I'll put on a pair of high heel shoes and I feel fantastic.
And it's the small things that we've learned that end up being the biggest mindset shifts. One of my girls, so I have a mindset course out, and Delora has a bonus section in the mindset course. And I was talking with one of my mastermind girls yesterday, and she said, I've skipped a couple videos, so I'm just going to binge watch all of them tonight. And I was like, no, that's not how mindset works. And Delora taught me this. You don't want to eat all the food that you're ever going to eat in the same day.
Yeah.
You don't want to take all the showers that you're ever going to take in the same day. You'd probably drown. And you don't want to take all of the deals that you're ever going to do all in the same day, because your mind isn't ready for that. So you can't binge into mindset. It has to be a gradual growth process. That's why we've been together for 2.5 years. I've gone through some things. I've up-leveled many, many times. But like you said, I've hit rock bottom, new rock bottom, new rock bottom, new highs. Yeah. And all of that rolls into the mindset. So tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you feel about mindset.
Well, honestly, mindset picked me. I really think that God gave me the gifts he did so that I could help people. The future is female, so true. I really think that God works through me when I work with my clients, and mindset is so critical. Like, it is probably more important than anything else you can do, but you really have to be able to embrace it as a process, because it cannot be one and done. Like Oprah said this one time on a show, someone had accused her of having pills for weight loss. And she's like, listen, don't you think if there was a pill that worked for weight loss, I would sell the damn thing to you? I don't have it. It doesn't exist. And that's the same thing with mindset, because the thing is that your mindset has been set generations before you were even born, and patterns were passed down that you now have around sex, money, power, relationships, sales. Other people have programmed you with it, because when you're a kid, your conscious mind is not really there. So you have no filter. So everything goes into this sponge that soaks up everything that you're told about money, all those things that I mentioned. And so as you start to work in your business or making investments or buying real estate, you don't know what's hidden there. You don't know where you're going to stop. So mindset is this gradual process of taking off the layers. Like every time we have an experience, it's like we wrap on a scarf or a coat. So you can imagine, I'm 43 years old, loving it. As 43-year-old, I've had some layers that have been piled on over the years, and I've had to take layers off as I'm growing and expanding, meeting new needs, finding new things. And so that's why it's such a gradual process. And we don't know where the trip ups are going to happen, when things are going to come and try to level us down or make us stop in our tracks. And that's why, it is so important to stick with the process and to have little things that we do. Sometimes, we've talked before and we've gone back to basics. Okay, what works? And when things start going well, we stop doing the basics and then we coast for a little while. But eventually self-sabotage is going to hit and you're going to go back down again, because that is what your subconscious mind does. It does not want you to change. Its job is to keep you safe, and safe is comfort zone. Safe is not, ooh, new deals. Let me go make 10,000 this month, because you've never made it before. You might do it once, maybe even twice, but after that, it's not going to keep rolling like that. And especially if it happened fast, it's not, and you're not used to it. That's just not going to be your reality.
And one thing, I think people confuse mindset work for how do I feel happy all the time, or how do I get a positive mindset? How do I change into a optimist? How do I, and it mindset isn't about that. Like you just said, I just want to highlight that. It's about old things that are going to come up and attack you out of the blue. And you're going to self-sabotage, or you're going to spiral, or you're going to stop yourself from going the extra mile or hitting the new goal or whatever. It's not about just being happy.
Yeah, so true. And in fact, if that's what you're going to look for, you are going to self-sabotage, because it's impossible to be happy all the time. It doesn't mean that you can't become more positive. Of course, so much fewer things bother me than it used to. I still have a couple of triggers that I'm working through, but it's so much different who I am now compared to who I was before. But the other thing is that you really have to pay attention to the subtle little things that happen. And when you do that, the mindset work it's catching those little subtle voices that you don't hear, because we're on autopilot so much of our day. Thank God, because you would have to, think about breathing the 80,000 times you breathe in a day if your subconscious mind didn't take care of that for you. But then it also takes care of a bunch of other things for you. So you really want to be able to control your thoughts instead of them controlling you and your reactions.
I had a situation happen back in July. Delora and I went to a Tony Robbins event with Amy, another lady on our team, and had a fantastic time. And what do you do at Tony Robbins events? You set new goals, you set new milestones, you set new ideas, visions for your life. So I've been on this great big high at Tony Robbins, and I came back, and 2 days into the week, one of my goals that I set was I'm going to start a new business. And I found out like 2 days later that I'd been denied financing on my new business. My car, which is a new car, it's only a year old, like brand new off the lot. And the transmission just fell out of it. So I had to park my car and not have a ride for 2 weeks. And then I feel like there was a third thing that happened, but I got denied financing and my car went to kaput on me. I'd switched my phone on Verizon, and it hadn't auto hit my credit card. And so I didn't have a phone. And if y'all know me, I like to talk. I like to be able to communicate with people. So I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a car, and I got denied financing, all within 3 hours. And I remember sending Delora a message and being like, oh my gosh, look at all this crap that just hit me. How funny is this? And I'm telling y'all, 2 years ago, any one of those things would have thrown me completely off the rails, would have completely given me a tailspin. My whole world would have come crashing down. But because of what we've been working on, I saw these attacks coming on, and I saw them coming. And I knew that if I said, oh, that's all you got, You're
Yeah.
denying me financing? No big deal. I'll go talk to somebody else. You don't have a car? No big deal. They'll give me a loaner. And I'll drive myself to the Verizon store and pay my credit card bill and get it turned back on. So all these things came at me. And I tell y'all all my mistakes, all my failures. I would have crumbled and died 2 or 3 years ago over those small things because I didn't recognize them for what they are. And now that we've been working and I saw that they were just past attacks coming towards me.
Absolutely.
Because I was ready to up level.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't affect me as bad. And I'll tell you, 6 months down the road, I have my new company. I got financing. I've got my phone bill paid all the time. And now I picked out a new car that I want last Friday. Today is Friday as we're recording this. My car is again in the shop. How funny is that? 6 months
ironic,
later,
right?
I'm having the exact same attack, the exact same way, because I'm ready to up level my vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. So of course it's going to hit you that way.
That's how mindset works, and that's why mindset practice is so, so important. It's not about being happy, y'all.
No.
It's about seeing what's going to come to say, are you really ready to up level?
Right.
I hear you saying you want this, but you're going to have to go through all these other hoops to get it. Are you ready?
Right.
Well, bring it on.
It's so true. That's so true. And like the little things, because what I find so beautiful about it, it's not beautiful when you're going through it, but like as someone who coaches people through it and I can see what it is, like I see the patterns, it almost like it lights up like a Christmas tree for me. But the trigger or the subtle little thing that happens, I can see how it's linked to shame and guilt. And so the fact that it would send you in a tailspin before because it was attached to some kind of shame or guilt, when in reality, who hasn't had their phone bill or their phone turned off at some point, whether it was because they had no money or because there was a mix up or whatever. That's happened before. It doesn't mean the whole world is crumbling down. But when you have this pride or the shame and guilt attached to it, it does take you down, and it can take you down for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And in a business, you don't have time for that.
Well, one thing I know, especially on the car thing, there's nothing wrong with my car. My car is fine. My car is still just 2 years old. There's only 50,000 miles on it. I know I have shame and guilt about wanting a new car, even though I don't need a new car.
Yes.
I want a new car for another thing that we talk about in mindset. I'm setting goals, and one of my goals is when I hit this, I'm going to go buy myself a new car because we have to celebrate. We can't just be down in the muddy all the time, and we have to celebrate that. And here's a question I want to pose to you. So what was the mindset shift, or what was it for you when you changed your money mindset out of, because you had a government job. Yep. When did you say, you know what, I can make more money, I can do this? And what kind of things, like those are some of the things that hit me. What were some of the things that said, no, you need to stay in the safe, cushy job. No, you need to keep comfortable. Don't go out. Don't do this. Don't do that. What were some of those money mindset shifts that other women are probably looking for to say, I need a sign that I need to get out of here, or I need help realizing that I am done here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the biggest things is to really examine what is your money mindset. What were you told? What do you believe about money? How does money come in? And when I was a kid, I had a very different, two contrasting views about money. My dad was an entrepreneur, he's a fisherman, and money just, happened when it happened. You didn't always have it. And my mom, on the other hand, was very safe and she was a teacher and, very safe with her money, paid things in cash, always had savings, that kind of thing. So I had the two contrasts. And sales, I was always told I wasn't good with sales. So that was something that I had to really examine for myself. Why aren't I good with sales? The truth is that I didn't believe in convincing people to do something. And that's a very one way of seeing sales. But the truth is, do I offer a service that people need? Yes. Am I doing a disservice by not offering it? Yes. Am I doing God's work by being here and doing this work? Yes. So in that case, it's not a sale. I'm offering you what can really change your life. And I do it like full heart. I'm here for the long haul. And so when I was able to shift that and see it that way, then I was able to take the step. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I regret from being 19 years old, I always wanted to invest in real estate, even while and I wasn't working in government then, but I always wanted to have it. And I took the safe route and trusted my partner at the time to, that he knew better, and to not do it. It's not time yet. We don't have the money yet, or whatever it is. Now, this is way before I knew you, so I would have known that it didn't matter if you had money. But that was always something that I never did, because I never took the leap, because that was the safe side of my money mindset talking, my mom's safe side. And even, I'll tell you what, even when I left government, that is exactly what happened. All the people that believed in safety around me kind of really questioned what I was doing. They didn't believe they could do it. In fact, I had to take a step back from all of them, because they just couldn't see how I was going to pull this off. And yeah, exactly. And that doesn't make them bad people. That just means that they can't see it the way I do. And this is over and over and over in all the mindset books I've read and all the spirituality I've studied and psychology. When we get that little voice that tells us there's something more for us, nobody else can hear it, because it's only being said to us. And that's why sometimes sharing your dreams or your ideas is not necessarily a good idea if you don't have someone that's open-minded and who can see everything for you. You really have to nurture it yourself and get it to a place where it's kind of like this burning desire, kind of like your company. Like when you were denied financing, someone could have said, you don't need an extra business. Why do you need an extra business? You have however many you have, right? But you knew that there was something. And I remember when you told me, I was like, oh, damn, yes, that's a good idea. Because I see the big picture for you, but not everyone has the money mindset to do that, because they're speaking through their own patterns, their own beliefs, their own limitations.
That's what I was going to say, is everybody's hearing these voices. Most people just shut them down before they can actually vocalize them. And that's one thing that I came from an entrepreneur family. My mom's family's always been small business owners. My dad's family was always small business owners, but my dad had a safe railroad job, but my dad hustled on the side. So he was a little bit of a mix, but I always just knew that money happens. Whenever we needed money, money just happens. We could go buy a car, sell it for more. We go buy a house, no, they don't sell houses. So no, but I just always knew that money happens. And so I have a really high risk tolerance. Yeah. But my husband doesn't. He has a low risk tolerance, because both his parents were teachers. Both of his parents were teachers.
Yeah.
And they always wanted everything safe, 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 safe. And so when I started saying, oh, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that, I'm going to do this, I got a lot of kickback. And I really had to learn how to nurture that in my own head, because even right now with the car, I'm telling everybody I want a car. And even though people have been seeing me do all these things, I'm getting a lot of kickback about, you don't need a new car and your car's fine. And how are you going to afford a new car? And I'm like,
exactly.
Unimportant.
Exactly.
Details.
So true. It's so true. And you have to do that. And it sounds mean. It sounds like, you're not.
And I shut them down. As soon as people start questioning me, I shut it down. Don't question me.
You have to. And that is a practice. That is even part of your mindset practice. It's anticipating what people are going to say. And when they say it, not letting it get in, because especially when you start out mindset. Yeah.
I feel like Superwoman. I'm like pinging bullets off my arms.
Exactly, with your bracelets. Yeah. I have a cute one today, actually. But when you start, there is a very small window in when you can hear the voice and take action. And the practice of mindset expands that window, so you have more time to take action and you can handle what gets thrown at you. Because your mind will talk you out of it before you even take action, and you can even encounter any of the risks because of these make-believe risks that come up in your mind.
And I see that in real estate investing all the time. People are like, oh, well, I haven't researched the property. I'm like, if you're standing there with a seller who has a problem and you can solve it, you've done enough research.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is a really good, point for real estate investment, because most people aren't raised knowing that you can have more than one house, right? Maybe a house and a cottage, but you're not raised thinking you can have a bunch, especially if you're a woman. And so this idea that you can do that and you can have a portfolio of real estate, that you can handle the worst case scenario. And that's actually one of the practices that we do, right? We say, okay, what is it, our goal? And then we talk about what is the worst case scenario? Give it to me in grand detail. What is the worst? And your mind will let you run down this rabbit hole of, oh my God, there's going to be a tornado, and God's going to put bullets through, or not bullets, but lightning bolts through it, and it's going to be this, that, and the other thing. Sure, all of that could happen all at once. What are the chances? Very few. And what if it does happen? What are you going to do? You have insurance, you have, like, there's always answers to that. But what happens when we don't ask those questions and get it out of our head, when our head controls it, it's the worst. That closes it down. Okay, I'm not going to do it then. But then when you ask somebody, really, what is the worst case scenario and what are you going to do when those things happen? You have an answer. You know what you're going to be able to do. And you're never alone. That's the whole thing. We always think that we're alone in doing all this. And although you may be alone in your own current circle, but that's why, Whitney has built the communities that she has. The mindset course has videos. You go back over it, listen to it 1,000 times. Like I have for my own coach, but even all the books that you see behind me, there's some books that I read, like this one here behind me, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 times. I think I'm probably on my 10th read of this one.
Well, that was going to be my last question, but we can go ahead and do it. Give me 3 mindset book recommendations that you have.
Ooh, the first one, really nice, light, easy one to open the idea of this is Leveraging the Universe by Mike Dooley.
Oh, Mike Dooley. I actually listened to that one. I didn't read it.
Yeah.
Amazing. I agree 100%. That man has a way of speaking.
And he has such a great story too, right? Because he's like, what has happened to him, made a fortune, lost it, and then was like, bleak, nothing is going to come through for me. And his way through that is really fantastic. I love it when there's a story included because you can kind of relate to it. Another great one, kind of experiment, like you can experiment with, is Pam Grout. Is that right? E squared or E cubed. There's 2 of the books. I'm pretty sure it's E. I don't have the books behind me. I have hers on Audible or a Kindle. I mean, Pam Grout. We'll put the links for these in the comments. But E squared and E cubed is just these fun little experiments about how you can practice your mindset and see things in a different way without any risk. So I just love those for 2 little intro ones. And then 2 really great books I think everybody should read at some point anyway is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which I have right here. Although this is a doozy, I will tell you. And there's a Think and Grow Rich for women. I actually recommend reading both. But the one for women is nice because it gives a different kind of flavor and more updated examples. The only thing is I would say that this book is, like I said, kind of meaty, and you have to really digest it and go through it a couple of times because you can miss the lessons. Like I've read the chapter, of course, on the mastery of sexual transmutation probably, I don't know, 12 times. And I just picked it up the other day and opened it up and I was like, what? It says what? And I was like, oh, I need to go back to this. Because your mind, that's the other thing about mindset work, as your mind evolves, your mind will expand and you can see things in a different way. That's like when you've watched movies with people before and you both come out and remember different things about the movie and you're like, oh, I don't even remember that scene. Because our mindset and the way we see things and the rabbit holes that we go down when we're paying attention to something is completely different based on our experiences. I'm a mother of twins. Believe me, they see the world in 2 different ways and they're twins. So that's the same thing for mindset. You really have to go through things a couple of times. And the last book I would say is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. That's a really great book too. Little thin book, so it's really easy to read. And that one is a digestible too. You have to read it and then be like, oh, that's really easy. And then go back and be like, oh, wait a minute, I missed that. So those were that's 4. I know you said it for 3, but I like to break rules, so.
It's all good. It's all good. You can listen as many as you want. I'm cool.
Well, it could be all day. Look at the books behind me.
Yeah, and yes. Big readers, that's another thing. So I have a mindset coach. Should be all I need, right? No. I have a stack of books just like that because I have Audible books. I have certain things on YouTube that I'm subscribed to. I have books. We go to conferences because mindset is, I want to hit on this again, it's not a one and done. Exactly. We meet once a week, but I need daily drips.
Yes. Bob Proctor, which is one of the grandfathers of mindset work, he was taught by one of the oldest ones that we know about. Well, like 2 removed or something like that. But if you look him up anyway, he's still in the business. He's 80, I think, or just about 80. He talks about it every single day. He does something about mindset. Now you think he's been doing this probably 50 years, I think. He still every single day does work on his mindset, and he reads this book every single day. Not all of it, but he reads a section of this book every single day for the past 30, 35 years, if you watch his videos online. So it is a practice that you have to continue to work. And the little trick about mindset and about subconscious, especially your ego will let you do this, you'll feel good for a while. And that's why people have these highs and lows. And that's why we work through that, right? You'll feel good for a while. You'll do some mindset work and things will be going great. And then you'll start to decline. And the thing about it is that you'll start going backwards, but sometimes it's gradual. Sometimes it's a big, fast 10 steps back, but a lot of times it's this little gradual slip. And you're like, oh, that's okay. It's not, it didn't go so well. But if you don't catch it, you'll end up back where you started. And that is the beautiful thing about the subconscious mind. It is subtle. It is like so sophisticated in getting you to stop. And that's why this continual mindset, having little tricks that you do all the time, really makes a difference.
What are some things that you do to kind of conquer mindset, or to conquer imposter syndrome, or when you see yourself slipping, what are some things that you can do, or that anybody watching can do, to say, all right, I see this happening, I'm going to stop it and get back on track? What are some fast things that we can do?
Well, the very first thing in all mindset practices is to start paying attention to your thoughts. So as much, and it's tiring at first because you're on autopilot. So you don't pay attention to these voices all the time. And when you start doing it, you're going to be like tired, but it's not going to take long for you to get in the habit of doing it. And as much as possible, when you have these kinds of thoughts that you're working through, or you're doing mindset work, get it out of your head, whether it's writing it or speaking it to someone. That's why coach is so brilliant, but even these videos, listen to the videos, but write it, because if your mind does something with two senses, it's more powerful. So if you write it down and you see it outside of you, your subconscious mind can't give you the question and the answer, which is what it will do. If it's in your head, you'll have, like if you pay attention to an argument that you have with yourself doing something, the argument will be both sides. It's like the angel and the devil on your shoulders. It's doing it both at the same time. You're like, what am I going to do, right? And you'll convince yourself in and out of something 1,000 times. Well, by writing it, you see it more objectively. It doesn't really replace a coach, but it helps you get it out of you. And then you can be like a little more objective. So for example, if you're wanting to place an offer, or even go ahead and get Whitney's real estate course, which first still done fast, quick, like hurry up, get into there. But if you're like worried about doing it, ask yourself, what is the worry? And write them all down. It doesn't even matter how minute it is, because sometimes that is the tree, the trickle down effect, right? It's like a tree with branches. Write it all down and then ask yourself, what is the truth? Is it really true that I'm not going to be able to do this? Okay, maybe it is. And then why is that? And then you're going to be like, well, actually, those are bullshit reasons. That's somebody else telling me that. That's not true. That's my husband's fears. That's my mom. That's, whatever. And the other thing is that, the program is built to take you through all of it, because Whitney's been through it all, and she's also made the mistake that she doesn't want you to do. So she's weathered it for you. But then on the other hand, when you're doing this work, getting it outside of you like that, and asking the question. So I always say to people, tell me what your goal is, write down all the steps that you can do to get it done, and pay attention to the voice as you're writing down the steps, because it's not so much that you're writing down the steps, it's what you're going to talk yourself out of doing. And by doing that, by paying attention, your subconscious mind is subtly telling you how it's not going to do it. So for example, I'm going to sign up for First Deal Done Fast. Okay, what do you need to do? Well, I need to go on the website, whatever. As minute and as funny as those things are, pay attention. Well, no, you can't afford it right now. Or no, you shouldn't be doing it right now. Or you don't have time. Or blah. Write down all that. And is it true that you don't have time? Listen, time is subjective as far as I'm concerned. It's a man-made concept. We all have the same amount of time in a day. But if you pay attention to Whitney's schedule and see how much she pulls off and still has a lot of fun for herself and has her nails done and all this other stuff, goes to church like she did last night, you will see that time is a construct, and you might have too much on your plate because you have not done the work to delegate, to pass things off, whatever. So the more you can do that. And then the second thing I would say is gratitude, 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 gratitude. I can't even say it enough. This is not like, the law of attraction, which I think is powerful and you should pay attention to it, but it's not just like, oh, I'm grateful for these 10 things. When you are grateful, your mind can't be negative and positive at the same time. It's impossible. So when you're grateful for even the challenges, right? How can I be grateful for not getting the financing? Okay, well, always things come to me for my greatest good. So if I can't get financing now in this way, it's forcing me to pay attention to something else that I need to do in order to get it. If I don't get this deal on this house, it's not the end of the world. There's how many houses in this country, in your country, we're in different countries, in all countries that need somebody to take over, loving the house and offering it to someone else, or, whatever it is. There's how many landlords that are tired of being landlords, that need relief, that need help. How many people are dealing with houses that have been passed down in wills, unfortunately, that just want an easy way to ease that and just to feel it go to good hands. Well, there's so many of them. So one deal is no big deal. So gratitude helps you see the positive side of it. And like you said, it's not always about being positive, but when you have more positive things to see, that's what you start seeing more of. You don't see the problems all the time, you see the solutions. So
people tell me all the time, because I do videos and I'm on Facebook Live and I've got videos coming out on YouTube and I'm very active all the places, and especially my mastermind girls, I hear this from them because I talk to them more than I talk to a lot of other people. Well, nothing bad ever happens to you. And I'm like, oh yeah, bad stuff happens. I was trying to get a seller to sign my one pager when my transmission went out the other night.
Yeah.
Like 2 nights ago, my transmission went out again, just got it replaced 6 months ago. I'm sitting in a seller's driveway and that's when it decides to go out. Y'all don't think that's some bad stuff that happens to me? It's just that I was like, all right, whatever, we got to deal with it. It wasn't like, oh, that's a sign that I shouldn't get this one signed.
Exactly.
No.
That's the other thing, just look what happened on your birthday weekend.
Oh, Lordy.
With the Airbnb, right? Just started your first Airbnb.
And I went out of town, went to New York, and then somebody broke in and stole 2 of my bedroom suites and all 3 of my TVs. Because I was trying to up level. I was trying to do something different. I was trying to do something new. And looking back on it, I told the people what the code was. I gave them the address. I told them how many TVs were there. I pretty much invited the wolves into the hen house. So it's not like, ooh, don't do Airbnb. It's like, no, don't be a dumbass.
Right, exactly. And that was an opportunity for you to see where you were being vulnerable and not guarding your, your service the way you needed to. That's just an invitation to up level and to pay attention to things that you weren't paying attention to before. Autopilot, you're on autopilot. Oh, it's going to be fine. And so, that was a really great switch. And the fact that it happened, you were out of town, it was your birthday, it could have been so much worse than it was. And you were like, okay, let's deal with this. What do we need to do going forward? Doesn't need for the moment.
From those mistakes,
exactly.
I've got a new system.
Exactly. And you would have needed that system, but you wouldn't have known to put it in place or what to do if you hadn't had that experience, which makes it so much more powerful than if someone said you should do this, this, and this, because you might disregard it. The
other kicker was I had guests coming in.
Yes. Like a few days later, right?
Like the next day.
Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm dealing with all this out of town, and this would have been exactly what have shut people down. People would have said, never mind, I'm canceling. This is not what I should be doing. This is not good. This is not what it is. Blah, 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 blah. I'll be doggone if I didn't get new furniture in there. Before the people showed up, they didn't even know anything happened. And in less than a month, I made like $3,000 off that place.
Absolutely.
Which completely replaced the cost of getting the new furniture. And now I've got a house that was $1,000 a month that I've got another group of people in there right now also paying me $3,000.
Exactly.
So $1,000 to $3,000, and I went through a hiccup.
Exactly. That is so important to pay attention to. If you had just shut everything down right there, you would have lost $6,000, and it would have been a vacant house costing you money.
Even my mom, because she was with me out of town, she was like, oh, well, you should call and cancel it, let other people know the furniture's gotten stolen and that you don't have anything anywhere for them to stay. And I was like, the show must go on.
Yeah, so true.
Excuse me, but we will have furniture there when those people get there, and we will be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And your mom is so supportive. So that's the other thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's so amazing, so supportive, but that was her own fear talking. And that is the other thing, is that when you're starting to up level and you're starting to do the work and starting to make more money, their fears are going to speak through them, even if they truly are supportive, like your mom is. It's not that she's not supportive, it's just that she's speaking through her own fear. And so you have to deal and be aware of that as well, and be like, no, I'm not, like, I'm a dog with a bone here. I am not giving that.
That's where you have to be Wonder Woman too, and be like, beep, beep, beep. Nope, your fear's not mine. I'm good. Exactly. Continue on.
Exactly. And what, you know, the other part of mindset is when you have a hiccup, when you have those fears coming at you, it's because there's something inside of you that you need to explore. There's a reason why that experience happened to you, because you needed to have a better system in place. Now you do. And so when
don't give the code away and the address.
Yeah. And don't say it's vacant between this time and this time. Yeah, exactly. That is so it. And, you know, we can get caught up in not paying attention to that kind of stuff, or not exploring for ourselves, but everything comes to us as a mirror. The other thing is that I don't remember which book, but in several books I've read about, you know, God, spirit, universe does not speak to us through fear, and it doesn't talk to us in a negative way. So it's not going to talk you out of something. It's going to protect you, of course, but everything's about more life. That's actually the basis of the law of sexual energy. More life. And it doesn't mean making babies, although you can do that, obviously, but it's creation, right? So it's like, you know, the oak tree being the biggest, best oak tree it can be, and us being the biggest, best version that we can be. And so if you have an instant like that, it's not trying to shut you down, it's making you aware of something else so that you can expand, so that you could make the $6,000 you've made in 2 months off that place.
And that's the other thing is I see this quote, I don't even know where it's from, but it says that, you know, God isn't testing your bank account. He's testing your faith. And he more than replenished my bank account because I kept going through the steps. He told me that that's where I needed to be, and I kept going through the steps. And he gave me a lesson, but there was a test there. Are you going to keep going, or are you going to quit right here? Because if you keep going, there's bigger goals out there for you.
Absolutely. And I've got your back. That's the other
got your back.
I've got your back. So just like Whitney's going to have your back in First Deal Done Fast, or in the mindset course, we're both here. Like, we've been through it. You know, this is our practice. That's why I was so excited when Whitney said she was going to do a mindset course. I'm like, oh yes. So such a great idea, because in real estate, it is scary to go from not having any houses to having a zillion, or to deciding you're going to double your real estate portfolio, or whatever it is. And it's not about the money, it's about the other things that are going to come with it. And so, you know, to have this course available to you, you're not alone, and universe is there for you, God's there for you, whatever, you know, you subscribe to. It's so important to know that there's a bigger energy, there's a bigger version of you calling you to step into something more.
But you're going to have to go through all the steps to get to that bigger version of you. Yeah. People, I'm all the time posting on Facebook that you deserve $100,000 a month, but people aren't willing to invest to get to the $100,000 a month. They just think God's just going to give it to them. I'm like, not many lottery winners out there, y'all, but there's enough money on this planet for everybody to make $100,000 a month. It's just that people get tested when they say they want that, and when the test comes, they're like, oh, that's a sign I shouldn't do this. No, it's not.
Absolutely. Or I don't want to do that. Exactly. Or I don't want to do what you're asking me to do. I don't want to do those things. Okay, don't. You don't have to. Nobody's making you do this.
Stay where you are.
You're not going to get.
I'll show you. I've got my board up here. Ooh, there. Okay, that long board right there with the blue, those are my houses. And that is my list of goals. So I've got 13 houses, and I've got 8 of them paid off. I'm wanting to pay off another 3 of them this year. But in that same process, I'm taking some of them from, they were making $1,000 a month, like I told you on that other house, so they're going to make $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And when I do that, there's going to be some things that happen.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But in order for me to get a house that makes $10,000 a month, I'd much rather learn on these other houses. Exactly. And my end goal is to do $100,000 a month. And I fully know that I'm going to have to do some things. I'm going to have to change some things. I'm going to have to move some things around. I'm going to have to grow into the woman that makes $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
from 7 different companies, that's $700,000 a month.
Exactly.
I'm not going to go through some bumps.
Exactly. And that's the
Just don't dwell on them.
Exactly. They don't dwell on them. And the other thing is to know that that's why your mind will let you say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. That's not tangible. It's not real. It doesn't see you taking action. So there's no threat to your comfort zone. So your subconscious mind's like, go for it, girl. It knows you're not actually going to do it. If you were going to do it, you'd already be a millionaire. You'd be laughing at the fact that you once wanted to be a millionaire. So that's why it's this gradual process, like we've said, and that you have to, every level has a new devil is the expression. I'm pretty sure that's
same devil, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
New level, same devil. It's just more expensive.
Exactly.
It's my same transmission.
Yeah, exactly.
New level, same devil.
Exactly. And so when you do it, you have to be like, okay, I see ya. I got ya. You ain't stopping me. I got better shoes. So honey, you can sit in the back seat. For me, it's the little girl, my little girl, the scared little girl that I have. I'd get her to sit in the back seat and I'd be like, put on your seatbelt because we're going through this together anyway.
I put mine back on the bench. I've got a scared 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, exactly. You can whine, you can cry. We got this. I'm in charge.
I am a grown-ass woman, and I say we are going to do this, so you can sit your ass back down.
Exactly. We got the nails, we got the shoes, girl, we got the jewels.
I got the purses, I got the houses. We're just going to do more. This is a starter kit.
Exactly.
This is not going to be my end portfolio.
That's my starter 13.
Yeah.
And talk about really quick about, when you started in real estate, you went from not knowing, first of all, you invested a lot in yourself to learn what you learned that you're now, I say, giving away, because I don't think your prices are high enough, but get on this before I convince her that she needs to go way up. Because she gives so much value. It's crazy. But, talk about, so you invested in yourself several times, but you also didn't like how they were doing it because they weren't actually helping you do what you had signed up to do, right? And then how much money you made from zero to that?
I was making $2,000 a month working at my mom's dump truck company, and that's $24,000 a year for quick math. And I decided that I wanted to be a real estate investor, so I bought some houses. I spent my entire life savings, which was about $24,000 that I'd saved my entire life. And I wasn't really rich.
Right. Which is weird that people are when they invest in real estate.
I went to school. I put myself back in school. I graduated college. I had licenses. I had degrees, but I put myself back into the real school of life that didn't come with a license or a degree. Right. And I found out how the rich are actually really getting rich. And it's not the way that they're teaching, because the world doesn't want everybody to be rich. You have to actually push yourself and do some weird stuff if you really want to be rich.
Yeah.
And I bought a house. I signed up for a mentoring program, spent $15,000 and travel expenses. So probably, 5 weekends away, I probably spent another $5,000. So probably 20 grand deep in my education to learn how to buy houses without any money.
Yes.
I spent a bunch of money to learn how to do it. And my first deal came to me in 8 weeks. So in 2 months, I made $15,000. I had almost my full investment back. I didn't have the travel investment back. But then my next deal, I made $8,000 in another 4 weeks. But I had a mentor for 6 months. And my mentor was great. He'd done a lot of deals, but he couldn't motivate me the way my brain needs to be motivated. Right. And when he would teach me things, I would go out and do it exactly step by step, word for word, how he told me to do it. But it didn't work because I sounded like somebody else. I didn't sound like me.
Yeah.
And so when you're faking it till you make it, people can see that and they can feel it. So I had to translate everything into me.
Right.
And once I learned how to translate it, and I learned how to really be me and love being me, that's when I did 10 deals in the next 10 weeks. It just started falling. Well, it was taking me 8 weeks and 12 weeks. Once I switched it, which I think is one of the biggest things about First Deal Done Fast, is I've already translated it into woman. So if you're a woman wanting to buy houses or apartments or whatever, I've already translated it from the good old boys language and lingo and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with it. It still works. Those dudes do deals. But as a woman, I need to do this as a woman and own what you talk about all the time, own my sexual energy, and not being flashy, or not being like, not trying to be sexy or sexual about it, but just knowing that my charisma is my sexual energy, and me having fun and being me is going to get me sales. It's going to get me deals instead of me trying to be suited up. I'm not a suited up person.
Absolutely.
When I tried to be suited up, it all went to crap in a handbasket.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what people connect to, is the real you. And the real you can be seen through your charisma. But if you have to fake that charisma, people are like, I don't really trust what you're saying there. And the other thing about, because you had been through it the way you have, you offer people like, I don't know, 10, 12, 15, I don't know, a lot of different ways to try, like to explore finding houses. And just even in that is its own, is worth more than what you sell it for, because it's not just a one and done. And if anybody, and there's women right now who are trying 5 or 6 different ways. Someone had been in the group a while, and she just this weekend, right, or last week, she said something like, why did I wait so long to do yellow letters? Because now she's got all this flood of activity, right? Yep. And so that is the whole thing, is that you have seen it from different perspectives, and you don't just offer the one and done. You give people a different way to try it. So it's never going to be just the one way you can try something.
Well, it's the same with mindset too. There's not just one fix for it. And when we talk about that too, I had a message the other day that a lady had been driving for dollars, and she'd gotten a lot of leads, but she didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And she didn't know how to get them under contract, and then she didn't know how to close them, and then she didn't know how to get a buyer. I mean, you can learn lots of different ways of how to get leads, but how are you going to close it and turn it into money? And that's what we focus on First Stone and Fast. And I'll actually tell you, I'm recording 2 more modules, and one of the reasons that we're taking it up in price is because I'm adding more to it and actually showing how to get paid 3 different ways. Because I'd started showing you how to get paid up front and how to get paid monthly. And I'm adding the back end payday, the modules, the contracts, the everything, because it's not just about leads. It's about actually making those leads deals and those deals into money.
Absolutely. That's so true. And that's why, like you said, mindset is not just one way either. So if you're going to sign up for the mindset course, there's going to be different ways that you're going to want to work on your mindset. And I do it all day long.
I have 30 different ways. There's 30 videos of me giving you different mindset lessons, different mindset tricks, but also it's not just tricks. It's, we look at things this way. And a lot of the times, one of my magical powers is, even in real estate mindset, no matter what, I always tend to look at things from a different angle. And sometimes it's just the perspective. It's the different angle that gives all the clarity to the question.
Sure. Absolutely. And that's why when you start doing mindset work and you ask yourself the question, the answers are there, but we're so used to not asking it as a question, just hearing it as a statement. So if your mind says you can't do something, you can say, okay, why can't I do it? And then ask that question, get the answer, and then refute the answer. Because the truth is, you can do anything. That's why, and the other thing is, that's why, like I said earlier in this conversation, we hear the voice and not everyone else does, because we're meant to hear it. And that means that the answers and the way to do it, you can't have a desire without having the way to fulfill it already existing at the same time. But you may have to take a different perspective to see the other way. You may have to step out in faith. You may have to be grateful for the shit that you're in right now so that you can take steps forward. And you may have to do things you don't like at first, but then you're going to be like, well, damn, I just made $50,000. I kind of like it now.
And it's scary as hell to take the next step and not see the whole staircase. And a lot of women,
oh my God,
in the mastermind will tell you that, well, I don't want to do a deal until I know every little thing to it. Y'all, I've done 70 something deals, and I'm not going to tell you that I know every single thing about real estate.
Right.
I have a friend that's done 1,400 flips, and even he learned stuff about real estate. You can't wait until it's this perfect little thing before you take the first step. You got to take the first step to figure out what the next step is. And you got to take the 16th step to figure out what the 21st step is. But if you don't take the first one, you'll never figure out what's on the other side. And I can tell you as much as I can, but every deal is different. Every seller is different. It's like every house is different. Every person is different. But it's all still pretty much the same too. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying that you got to know shit's going to change. And that's because we're human. And thank goodness we don't know what's going to happen throughout the day.
Right. Well, Oprah talks about this. If someone had told her when she was a little girl that she'd be who she is right now, she wouldn't have believed it, because it was so far, removed from how she grew up. We know her story, that she wouldn't have been able to accept that. But she always knew there was something bigger for her. Phil Knight, the Nike founder, he talks about this too. He's like, I didn't know it was going to be Nike. He's a billion-dollar company, but he knew that there was a different way to sell shoes, and the way he approached it, like his book is really fabulous, Shoe Dog, fabulous read because it's in hindsight and he talks about it from a different perspective. And he doesn't talk about mindset, but when you read it, you're like, oh, the mindset tricks that he used. Yeah. Oh my God, he just did that. And in hindsight, you can see God lighting up the steps for him, and he had to be brave enough to take the step.
All right, that's my next call coming in. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that book is awesome, and my stepson loves Nikes, and so we actually listened to that together.
Oh yeah.
Family exercise.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to point out real quick, and then we'll close up shop, is that Delora is an amazing coach, and I've worked with her one-on-one. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, please tell them your YouTube or your email or your Facebook or whatever it is. How can people get in touch with you? I mean, they can, my mindset course isn't named because I take inspired action and then go back and fill in the blanks.
Fill it in after, yeah.
So they'll get you in the bonus section if they sign up for the mindset course that I offer that is unnamed as of now. But if they want more, if they want to work one-on-one and actually see their blocks and have you help them, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me everywhere as Mindsex. So MINDSEX hashtag, I'm everywhere. But my website is mindsexmentor.com. You can find me on all social media as my name, Delora Guignon, DELORAGUIGNION. Reach out, don't be scared. There's a free Facebook group, Mind Sex Mastery. You can jump in there. And I truly, when I tell you that this is my purpose and my passion, it really is. I could not do this. In fact, that's what was happening in government. I was starting to, you care too much. And I was in the wrong place. So I had to leave and pursue this. And it truly is, honestly. And one of my fun party tricks, someone asked me that the other day when joining a group, what's your party trick? I can see, I just have to pay attention to someone and I can start to see, ooh, what is your sex life like? What is your mindset like? It lights up. Even so, I have learned to shut that off, but that is one of my party tricks. So we can move pretty quick when we start working together one-on-one, as you know, and it's not always good.
Well, I mean, I was making $2,000 a month when we started working.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was making $2,000 a month when I first invested in Delora's mentoring, and I paid more than I was making per month.
Yep. Absolutely.
And what did I do? Turn around in 6 weeks and I made like 20 grand.
Yeah, it was crazy how fast. And that is what happened. That's the beautiful thing about this work, is that the momentum in the beginning is so fast. It's kind of like the Roadrunner. His legs move too fast, so he doesn't actually move right away. But the momentum is so fast. And then we build on that momentum. That is the other thing. And that's why you've been continually, even though you've had hiccups, you've been continually able to grow because you keep working on this. You do not just, okay, one and done.
And because I believe I'm not there yet. I'm not at the top yet. And who even knows? Is she at her top yet? No, maybe not. We think she's at the top, but is she? Who knows?
Well, and when we first talked, I remember your monthly goal. You're like, there's no way your monthly goal, what it is now, would have been something you accepted back then. We were like, okay, let's do 5,000 a month. And then you were like, quickly blew through that. And you're like, okay, no, it needs to be higher.
We have to readjust. Let's reevaluate this.
We couldn't have moved right into 20K a month because that just wasn't something that was realistic for you.
It would have blown my mind and I would have tanked.
So we blew your mind in a different way.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
This was fun.
It's been wonderful, and I will see you next week.
Of course.
If anybody has any questions, drop the comments down below. Delora and I will ping pong back and forth through the questions. Make sure you have them answered. But the link to get our mindset course It's the link to get our mindset course will be down in the bottom, and once the baby is named, then we'll update it a little bit too. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. And get in touch with Delora if you want to work with her individually. If you want to know more about First Still Done Fast, all those details are also down below, or you can go to firststilldonefast.com.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.